Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. It's V coming to you live on this edition of Rogue News, and we have with us our special guests, Daryl and Jonathan Anderson. They are here from NeuroTracker, and folks, you can check out their website, neurotracker.com. Amazing technology, and they're going to be talking about the importance of brain training. Look, there's a lot of things happening in the world right now, and there's so much chaos. And unless you have a sharp mind, number one, you can't navigate the chaos. It'll be very difficult for you to do so. Number two, you will not be able to think clearly enough to see the opportunities, the silver linings that are behind the storm clouds that are temporarily over us as a country. And number three, you need to keep your brain sharp no matter what. If you're working out, you're doing your physical exercises, and you're in quarantine, lockdown, whatever, you need to exercise your mind. So we're going to be talking about, I guess, having the right survival brain set up, and the thinking brain, the cognitive brain, the effective brain, and how not only just NeuroTracker, but also the latest cutting research that they can bring us in terms of NeuroTracker, its prowess, the latest in nootropics, the sciences behind that, and what leading experts around the globe are advocating for every single man, woman, and child to be on. And with that being said, Daryl and Jonathan, what's up, guys? How are you?
Doing awesome, BJ. How are you?
Doing great.
I'm doing good. I'm waiting for, and I'm taking wages right now for the listening audience that are out there. Daryl and I, before we went live, we were taking bets, seeing is it going to be an asteroid that's going to hit us next, or will it be the alien invasion? I am saying alien invasion. I know Daryl is more keen on the asteroid strike, but we will see what happens.
I said the alien invasion as well.
Well, you're thinking it'll be like ET phone home, and everything will be fine. I'm thinking, Independence Day here, Daryl. War of the Worlds, Will Smith. That's what I'm thinking right now.
I think it's going to be friendly. Friendly.
Oh, I hope so, man. I hope so.
They'll come in and help,
Jonathan, being our resident Canadian in the fair north that is far away from this nonsense. Jonathan, what can we do as Americans just when we're about to open up from COVID and get back to business as usual, get back to life? We have now 143 cities and towns all across the country in some sort of protest and or rioting. And John, if you could just address that and how important it is to keep calm and the importance of keeping calm for the brain, and then we can segue into NeuroTracker and nootropics and the latest research that's out there and why every man, woman, and child needs this now more than ever. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Well, thank you very much, Vijay, for the intro. And I'm not too far from the border. I'm in Montreal, and Montreal's probably less than a half hour drive to the American border, so I'm not that far north. I have friends that make fun of me. I have one in Utah. Always says, "Did all this news break the ice barrier yet up there in Canada?" And I said, "No, we get CNN as well. We're hearing the same news you're hearing, and it really is about." It's one of the other things that we were just kind of joking about before the call was about what information. It's not just the information that we're seeing and process. But it's how we process that information. So right. Somebody could be looking at this information and process it completely different or quicker or from a different perspective, and all that happens in the brain, and it makes you really start to think specifically about the extra pressure that we're all facing right now, just with the whole COVID, and then all of a sudden now with all this other craziness that's happening. It's one thing to see it on the news and experience certain things. It's another thing on how we process it and how we handle and the decisions we make with that information. And that's what NeuroTracker was designed for. When Manchester United contacted Dr. Forbert at the Forbert lab here at the University of Montreal, where our lab is, that particular approach was really about how can we enhance the cognitive function or the human performance, but specifically on how athletes can make quicker, faster decisions based on information that they see on the field. And that's when Ronaldo was still playing there. And of course, everybody knows who Ronaldo is. I think he's got the #1 Instagram account in the world as far as amount of people that follow him. So it's amazing to be able to be a part of a company. I didn't invent the technology. I wasn't there at the time when this all happened, but it's amazing to be a part of a company that basically has the #1, I guess, influencer in the world has used the technology, but also, well, I think they're maybe perhaps tied with the Dallas Cowboys, the #1 most valued or most valuable sports franchise in the world. And I think Real Madrid, Manchester United, and Dallas Cowboys, they all kind of swap spots, just like Bill Gates and, well, I guess Jeff Bezos has really blown by everybody recently, right, from Amazon. But as far as the top most richest people on the planet. So it's an honor to be able to know that this technology that we've got in our hands was really designed for the most elite. And this is why Daryl and I are so excited about releasing this new program to the world, because I think the world has never been at a time like it has now, and so much need for this technology. So to answer your question directly, how do we see this helping people? Well, the one thing that I've always noticed, even with myself or even with people that I are close to me, there has to be a practical solution. There could be great technology, there could be all kinds of things available, but if it's too expensive, B, if it takes like 80 hours a week to be able to, or even 5 hours a week, that's a big commitment for a lot of people. Even an hour a week is a big commitment, right? So this was another factor. Affordability, being able to get a hold of it very easily, to be able to use it, and then also being able to fit it into your daily routine, or at least your weekly routine if you're doing it every second day. And that's the power of NerdTracker, because it only takes about 5-6 minutes to do a session. You're doing 20 mini, I guess, trials, or call it sessions, in one session. They're 6 to 8 seconds long, and they're like power reps for your brain. And it's the most scientifically validated cognitive technology on the planet. It's the only technology on the planet without drugs or without any kind of surgery that has been proven what we call FAR transfer. And what FAR transfer is, when I did my due diligence before acquiring the company, because the company wasn't really a company, it was more of a lab that morphed into a business. So it really is a lab, and it's based on science. And that's the first thing that I noticed. It wasn't some gimmick or marketing scheme that somebody was trying to maybe add credibility to it with some doctors' names or fancy marketing. It actually was the opposite. It's been super scientific and medical, and actually not available to the average person, and quite expensive at the time. And when it first came out, it's definitely too expensive for the average person. So our goal has been since then to take this technology and be able to put it into the hands of as many people as possible. And this is why we came up with the whole CTS 90. You mentioned the website earlier. It's actually neurotracker.net is the current site.
Got it.
We will be launching a separate site for the NeuroTracker X platform, and this is what we're talking about now. Now that we've taken that original platform out of the lab that was designed for Manchester United, and then went from there to many other names, big names, and so it really hasn't been an adopted product for the masses. It was very medical, very scientific. The UI it wasn't really for your just off the shelf kind of use. But now with NeuroTracker X and the scalability of being able to bring it online, we're making it available and easy to use as much as we can. And we're obviously going to constantly improve it so the average person can use it from home. And it never, ever before was that ever available. Now you can, on any Mac or PC, and soon any mobile device, including things like Apple TV, Xbox, PlayStation, Roku, anything that can be embedded and can stream video. Our system is portable, And the new system is portable. The new Tracker X is portable. And so putting into a very easy to follow system, which is now with the CTS 90 program, standing for cognitive, and I'll let Daryl talk a little bit more about that, is really what we're doing now. And I guess when you look at the science background, when I first looked at this company and what Dr. Faubert and his team was doing, it really was different. It had far transfer. That's the point I was actually trying to remember that I was talking about, and I didn't want to lose that thought. And I'll end with this because I've been talking a lot, but the idea of when I was researching a lot of these brain games and different apps, that's the first thing I thought about, right? A lot of people think about that. What makes this any different from some other brain trainer or some other Sudoku or Suko or all these different things that you can get online. And the difference is that it's the only platform that's proven to give you far transfer. And what far transfer means is helping you with everyday life, things that we all do, like crossing the street, driving a car, watching CNN, and deciding whether or not we're going to freak out or not freak out based on everything we're seeing. Right? Those decisions, the way our brain processes information and things that we do every day, is what really matters to people, not just getting good at a game or getting good at an app, because that doesn't make you a better soccer player. That doesn't make you a better learner for a child at school. It doesn't make you a better golfer. I know I said that for Daryl because he likes golf, and and it doesn't necessarily make you a better entrepreneur in order to be able to go out and just multitask and just do things better. So that far transfer piece is probably the most critical part, I would say, of anybody who's really doing their due diligence about what we're talking about here.
Sure. I'm glad you mentioned far transfer, because this is the biggest thing that I think most people get a hang up on. They're like, wait a minute, you know what? I have brain training apps on my phone, and most people don't understand that those brain training apps do not create far transfer in your brain, number one. And number two, it just makes you good at a certain program. For instance, you start doing Sudoku and thinking that Sudoku is making you a smarter person. It's not. It's just making you better at Sudoku. So if you're doing a brain training app, whatever that game is, you're just becoming better. You're becoming more proficient at the game. You're not becoming more proficient at life. And that's the difference maker. It is that nuance, that slice of nuance that, NeuroTracker has spent tens of millions of dollars developing, Jonathan. I think that is the key difference maker between NeuroTracker and then something you could download on an app store.
Correct.
Beautiful. Daryl, you have a lot of expertise in this. You bring a lot to the table in terms of understanding the nootropics functionality of it, the health implications of it. And let's be honest, the majority of people that listen to this show, they're not professional athletes. And you're also not only someone who's working very closely with Jonathan and the team, but you utilize NeuroTracker on your day-to-day life. So chime in a little bit on what your personal experiences are, as well as the advancements that we've learned and the breakthroughs in nootropics in conjunction with NeuroTracker. Go ahead, Daryl.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so Jonathan mentioned I'm an aspiring golfer, but I'm 61 years young, and I'm not an elite athlete, not an astronaut with NASA, not U.S. military pilot. So when Jonathan approached me about this, I've known him for over 13 years, and he got excited a couple of years ago and shared that he was acquiring this company and all the cool things it did. And I said, well, that sounds exciting. How can it help me? And he started to share with me the science. Anybody with a brain from the ages, I say 5 to 105, but they could probably do it younger and could do it older. My father's 82, and he's been utilizing the program and loves it. And for me personally, I kept asking, and it finally became available to me as a beta tester almost 6 months ago. I'm well over, probably approaching 800 cumulative minutes of the 6-minute sessions. You can do it as many as 3 times a day, but it's like going to the gym for your brain. If you went to the gym physical gym, you wouldn't want to go more than 3 times. And we recommend for your brain, even though it's a simple 6-minute workout, you don't do it. So on average, I do it at least once a day, a couple of times, twice a day, and it sets a baseline. And my baseline was pretty close to average from what I'm seeing. The people that have been getting started, it was below 1, and after almost 800 minutes later, my baseline is 2.5. And I was sharing with Jonathan, just in the last week, I've hit what's called a 6, a score of 6, and that won't mean much to anybody until you try the program. It'll mean a lot to people that are currently utilizing it. But what it means is it's an adaptive program, and like what you mentioned in a game, you're never going to beat NeuroTracker. It's not like you're going to become so good and it's going to be something that you become familiar with and beat, because it's AI and it's adaptive, and the better you get, the harder it gets. So it keeps expanding. I have a testimonial, and I reference the movie Limitless with Bradley Cooper. I watched that movie originally, and I was intrigued. There was a pill you could take, and he did some phenomenal things. It was what I saw a lot of, the speed at which he was able to process things. And I have experience without a pill, just with this technology. At 61 years young, my brain is processing at speeds it's never processed before. I'm able to articulate. I'm able to come up with answers. My short-term memory has been a lot better. It's been phenomenal, and I get excited every time I utilize it, because I know that it's no different than physically working out. The more I work my brain out, the more places I believe it allows my brain to go. So the CTS 90 program that Jonathan talked about, when he approached me and he said, "Hey, I want to take this out to people that will see incredible value beyond these elite athletes and NASA and the military and all these sports teams." And he was looking for an average person, and I came to mind. Daryl's average. Let's see what it can do for an average person. So, VJ, you've this is, I believe, the 4th podcast that we did, and just recently, I think the one before this, we actually allowed people, because the program was ready, to utilize it. And some of the testimonials, I mean, we've had people from China, truck driver from New Zealand, another person from Australia,
Right.
A lot of people from the US, and the feedback that I've been getting, how they just love to get on the program and do it, and some of the experiences that average people, whether it's ADD, ADHD is huge. It's got science to back so many things. I mean, autism, as well as peak performance. So I got excited about it. I had already been, when Jonathan approached me, researching brain nutrition. Like when you work your body out, almost everybody's familiar with some form of nutrition, a lot of protein. Some people have different forms that they choose to put in their body. I'm a big plant-based protein person for physical fitness, but the brain is the same. I've experienced during NeuroTracker and things as simple as a cognitive coffee that I drank, that had mushrooms and it had reishi mushrooms, and I'd watch my score spike, or a green or red tea with mushrooms. I'm in the process of been working on an energy drink, and it's not like a Monster Red Bull type energy drink, but it's a cognitive energy drink with scientifically backed triggers that allow your brain, while you're using NeuroTracker, and Jonathan could tell you, because the science behind this is what's important. It's not, when we got on the beginning of the call, I don't want people to think, oh, there's this problem in the world that was COVID, and now there's riots, and let's come up with some brain exercise that we can, lead people to believe that it's going to help them. This has been science for almost 11 years, and
Right.
And what we're talking about is more relevant than ever. But as this passes, and whether it's the aliens that next come or whatever happens in the world, if everything gets back to some form of new normal, normalcy, I guess, it's still important that, for me, it's memory focus. My father's sister, unfortunately, passed away of complications from dementia, Alzheimer's, and there's some science on how it can assist, in some prevention there. I want to be careful. We don't make claims. My personal experience has been amazing, and others, but there's science behind the technology, and I'll close on this. But for me, it was simplicity. It's only 6 minutes a day. Uh, Even in this crazy world that we're in, people can make time, and it doesn't hurt. If you go and work out in the gym once a day, most likely, or twice, you get sore, right? And you have to recoup. So I don't wake up the next day and my brain's sore, and I can do it, as many as 3 times a day. And I really believe, and Jonathan can share, what the science says, how many sessions. I believe it's as few as 15 6-minute sessions, which is 90 minutes, is where the science has proven that you'll most likely see some improvements in different areas. And after double that, I have felt it increased it even more. But it's super simple and powerful. And if I can do something to perhaps prevent some form of, you know, greater memory loss or function, and maybe even get to where I'm performing better and better, I'm going to do it. And I love what I've experienced. I really appreciate Jonathan for reaching out to me, number one, and then you, VJ, for having us out here and the ability to share it with people, the power in it.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, folks. I mean, we don't get a penny out of having Jonathan and Daryl on with NeuroTracker, and I'll tell you right now, it's just we bring this on because it's so vital. It's so vital, and the research is coming out daily. Daily. I mean, it's every day. There's new studies that are coming out, folks. Your brain is being bombarded. It's being bombarded by chemical disruptors that are in the food and the water and the air and household chemicals. I mean, you name it, your brain is being bombarded. Okay, it is so vital and so important, especially people are taking even certain medications that have all sorts of psychotropic side effects, this, that, and the other. We've seen what certain medications like Accutane and the lawsuits behind that and whatnot. The general gist of it is this, folks. Okay, and here's a fact: we are the most heavily medicated country in the world. We are also the country that leads the world in psychotropic medical prescriptions. We lead the world in psychotropic drugs. And folks, let me explain something to you. I'm not saying that NeuroTracker is some sort of a cure-all, be-all for mental illness or mental health, but it does help if you're able to allow your brain to perform well. And the research is starting to show that. The research is showing the value of creating neural synapse connections that are new, that are enervating, that are energetic, that allows the person's mind to think and be sharper. Because a sharp, healthy brain allows you to deal with the stressors of life, and it allows you to make those right decisions. Jonathan, any other words you would like to say in this broadcast?
Well, it's funny because this morning I was on a call to Italy with a world-renowned. I can't mention his name yet, just because it's not official. But he reached out to us, and he's a brain surgeon, and he's also a neuroscientist. And he has two parts of his practice. One, training the most world elite athletes in the world. He was just naming off some of the people specifically in soccer being over in Europe, and I just couldn't believe it. I was my mouth was on my jaw was on the floor, just like am I really talking to this person? And the other part of his practice, what he's just discovered, is, and I could be botching this up, so don't quote me on this on the scientific side, but he was mentioning that he works a lot with children. And I mentioned this to you before, VJ, on our last podcast, and that's really, I have three little children under the ages of 7, and 3 girls, 7, 5, and 3. They keep me busy, but they're obviously, anybody who has children realizes how important they are to you, and also how it changes your perspective in life. And so my mission is not just to obviously help my own children, but to help other children, because they are our future. And he was mentioning that right now he successfully conducted brain surgery on a child that was having seizures, and by removing a portion of the brain. And the type of work that he's doing, and what he has learned from some of these from some of his work, is that children, if you are able to train their brain while they're kids, while they're children, he says they will become. He says, with the work I've done, I already know that we can train these children to be the best athletes that the world has ever seen, for one. And of course, it wasn't just about athletes, but in anything they want to learn. And he said, and this is why I'm calling you, because of the research and the science that I know about Dr. Forber and his team. He goes, I want to be able to integrate the NeuroTracker into some of the research and development that I'm currently doing right now. And I was just honored to be on the call with him, let alone the fact that he reached out to us. It wasn't the other way. And we get this every day, like every day. I was telling Daryl, I said, Daryl, I just saw him on our Instagram, and we just started doing a little bit of social media. We're going to be doing a lot more because we want the masses to know about NeuroTracker, of course. But I saw an Instagram post yesterday, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know we had them as a customer. It was like the quarterback for the Jacksonville. What's the NFL team down there?
Jaguars.
Yeah, and he was quoting about how he uses NeuroTracker, and I was just like, wow. Every day I learn about people that are using the very elite names that are using it, and I'm like, it just drives me more and more to say, how can we get this in the hands of as many kids, children, and as many people as possible, so we can help this world. Because I'm watching during this pandemic, being at home so much, with kids not being in school, and every time I turn the corner, my kids have grabbed a hold of my wife's phone. They either grabbed a hold of my phone, or my wife's laptop, or they're on their Fire Stick TV or Apple TV, and they figured out how to hack our password, and they're on YouTube, and they'll stay there all day long if you let them, watching TV. And I'm like, this, obviously there's better things they could be doing to be able to spend their time and develop as a child. So the amount of information that these children and the speed of technology in the next 3 to 5 years is going to be more than the last 20 years in technology. It's so every year the amount of data being produced in this world is doubling. So what does that mean about how much information our brains have to process, and how much information our children's brains are going to have to process moving forward? With AI, this is the largest weapon that we have as a human race. It's called HI. It's our brain. And if we have a way to be able to enhance that and help people, that really is something in my mind worth getting up in the morning for. And that's why I get up in the morning. If you can hear it in my voice, it's great to be able to do something like this. It hasn't been easy. Anything worth doing, I guess, is not easy, they say, but we're excited about the CTS. For those who don't know where that name came from, CTS stands for Cognitive Training Systems, and the 90 isn't 90 days, lose weight. It's 90 minutes. And 90 minutes, not 90 days, 90 minutes that it's scientifically validated to get results. So pretty highly impactful. So
It's paradigm shattering. It's literally paradigm shattering because there's no other technology on the face of this planet that does what NeuroTracker does. There's no potion, there's no lotion, and there's no pill or some mind game that even comes remotely close. And folks, when you combine NeuroTracker alongside with the protocols that Daryl and Jonathan have, the results are mind blowing. So many of my clients have already jumped on it. I'm a believer in it. They're astounded. They're absolutely freaked out about it, and they will tell you in their own words, it has literally and radically changed their life. This is not like, hey, you know what? Here's an exercise equipment that sits in the corner of your room collecting dust. This is not a weight loss pill that's promising you that you're going to, drop like 5 dress sizes. No, this is something that makes a positive impact. And folks, let me tell you this: mindset is everything. We all hear it all the time from the top motivational speakers to the researchers who research human development. Mindset is everything. Emotion is everything, right? And if your brain is fuddled, if your brain is foggy, and you don't have clearness of thought, decisiveness of vision, then whatever goal you set out for yourself to be, whether it is financial freedom, whether it is a project, whether it's crossing the street, whether it's going out and playing ball, whether it is launching yourself into a new era, a new goal for yourself, whether you're an entrepreneur or whatnot, you need to have the sharpest brain in the game, especially in the fast-paced, ubiquitous world of high-speed data that we're living in. Your mind, just like what Jonathan says, you need to have HI to the umpteenth degree in order to combat the AI and the data that's out there. You need to get ahead, folks. NeuroTracker is the way forward. Daryl and Jonathan, I'll leave you guys with the last final closing comments. Go ahead, guys.
Thank you, VJ. Well, I wanted to point out, Jonathan, one of the things when we started to mastermind on this was how to make it affordable to the masses. And it had only been available through clinical solutions, over 1,000 clinics worldwide. And I think the least amount that you could have accessed it for was like $100 a month on the minimum. And so with everything that was happening, when we decided to roll out the CTS 90, we worked on a pricing program, and we looked at like $30 a month, which was almost was greater than less than a third. And then we looked at other options. So what we've decided to do, VJ, is offer an annual license for only $299.99 a month, and make it actually for people that I think I gave you a couple of ways to have them access me. But if they message Rogue News into the text number that I gave you, or on the subject line to the email, we're going to do this. And this will be the end of that promotion, but 14 months for the $299.99, and we're also, as Jonathan said, it's a big
and Dale, that's a one-time payment of $299.99 for 14 months.
Correct.
That's
it's
amazing.
An annual, yeah. It's actually giving them 2 extra months, and part of the reason is there's been such a great demand on the glasses, the calibrated 3D glasses, that they might wait 60 days to get the calibrated glasses, but they can start the program right away in 2D. And
yeah, less than $22 a month. I mean, my God, it's amazing.
And the other part of it is that because of the children aspect to it, we're currently offering, if they have a child in their household that's 17 years of age or under, we gift a free one. With every license, there's a free one to a child. So if
that's awesome.
Yeah. So, and we appreciate you for allowing that to be a reality. But I've got a son, 24, and a daughter, 22. And as Jonathan said, his kids at a young age are, they're attached to the technology. My son and daughter, I can remember they had phones in their hands, and so this assists in what's happening there. My son, he has, I guess, attention disorder deficit, and there's a study that Jonathan talked about with Adderall, where they did a scientifically backed study and took half the kids off Adderall and had them do NeuroTracker and some of the amazing results that occurred there. So I appreciate that. I'll turn it back over to Jonathan on that. But
well, on that study, thanks, Daryl. Just to add on to that, so what they were doing is they wanted to see. It was a 2-year study that was done at McGill University by Dr. Bertone, and I'm trying to remember the other doctor that was involved in that. And it was the largest study of its kind with children with learning disabilities, and because NASA and U.S. Air Force and U.S. Navy SEALs Team 6, these are just the name of a few. Steph Curry from the Golden State Warriors, Matt Ryan from the Falcons, like I keep going down the list of people who use NeuroTracker. They wanted to see if this could potentially, because Adderall, a lot of people are using Adderall, students, university students are popping them like candy in order to study for exams, and executives, you name it, truck drivers. I like the company that makes Adderall, and this is not an Adderall commercial, but the company that makes Adderall is a company I think named Shire, and just over a year ago, it was one of the largest transactions in history by a Japanese company that ended up buying them for I think 62 billion. 62 bill, not million, but billion.
Wow.
And that just gives you an idea of, people are using ADHD medication to gain performance. And why would athletes and even gamers now with esports and everything, or, why are they taking Adderall? Why is university and college students taking Adderall to get performance gains? It's like designed for ADHD. So this, it makes sense because the study they did at McGill ended up proving and scientifically validating now. They put somebody's brain on an EEG, and then they put somebody's brain on Adderall, and very similar, if not, I can't use the word identical, but it was all the brain activity of that person on Adderall, the brain activity of somebody after 5-6 minutes using NeuroTracker was like spot on. And so now they've realized that yes, NeuroTracker doesn't just increase somebody's performance and decision making and their focus and attention, but actually helps with and improve with ADHD and autism. So that's beyond the fact that every kid you're just expanding their ability to learn. Now there's ones who have learning disabilities and focus, and that focus and attention is a big part of your ability to learn, because that's your working memory. And with the recent study that we did with, and I guess I'm publicly saying this, but well, it's not. I would say it's an elite military organization. Okay, I'll say it like that.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. That basically, and this was just this year, within the last 12 months, they within 2 months, the pilots. We're using it every 2. They were using twice a day, 5 days a week, and they did in 2 months, and their working memory increased over 36%. Their visual processing speed was in the double digits. Their executive function, all their cognitive abilities and measurements that this was their scientists and their people that did all these studies with it. They've never seen ever improvements that quick in anything they've ever implemented. Yes. So when I hear stuff like that, and then because of that study being released internally within the military groups, then NASA calls us, and NASA now just signed on. So we're pretty excited about all that, because that's great. These are big, this adds validation to the validation that was already there. But I think it's important validation because there is so much noise out there, and for people to know, is this for real? And the average person needs to know that, because there is so much stuff out there that's not real. So, anyways.
Yep. Absolutely right. And guys, your contact information, as well as how the website that you guys that people can follow you on, and any social media. Go for it.
CTS90 as Jonathan said. C is in cat, T, training, S systems is cognitive training systems 90.com is the website. And I gave you, I don't know if you posted it, VJ, that they can text Rogue Offer to that text number
Yeah.
that I gave you, or also email Rogue Offer in the subject line to D Snyder, which I think I gave you to post at nothingartificial.ai.
Yep.
Either one of those, we can get them more information. And then there's a Facebook page.
Yeah, I will have the
Jonathan
number
said.
up shortly. It will definitely be on there. So, folks, check back after the broadcast is over because for some reason the program was not allowing me to edit it in real time. So it will be on there. Go ahead, Daryl.
One thing I wanted to add, this is Jonathan, BJ, is the payment option on the page. We haven't released that yet. Like you said, that we haven't really told. We did. Besides, we haven't done any podcasts or anything like this except for with you, VJ. This is our third or fourth time doing it in a span of a month or two, just letting your audience. So it really is special because we don't even have the ability for you to buy this online. Now, CTS 90, within the next day or two, maybe 3, will have that ability. And once that goes up, then this will be our last, I guess, special offer for like this specifically just to the Rogue News group. But then it'll go back to what it will be when we officially launch the CTS 90 program. So if you, I think the form, Daryl, you might know more about this, but I do know that the payment part of it will go live in the next few days. And once it does, then I guess the 14-month promotion will go away. So.
Yeah, right
Perfect.
now it just if they hit submit or I get a message, then we handle it manually through a secure server, and they can order now while the offer's there. But I appreciate you, VJ, and Jonathan, of course, and look forward. I've met some really cool people that get it, through your group, and I look forward to meeting more. But they're really I would call them an evolved type of people that are aware of what's going on in the world, and they are looking for ways to clear their brain of all the craziness, right?
Exactly.
So this is a good way to do it.
Absolutely. I want to thank both of you guys for joining us. And again, folks, the links and everything will be in the description box right after this broadcast. So make sure you check back within a few seconds, and it will be up. Just need the system to refresh itself. And once again, folks, it's NeuroTracker, and all the information is right there. Contact Daryl over at the email that is listed in the description box right now to get more information and to be alert to all the updates that are forthcoming with this amazing, amazing technology. I want to thank all of you for listening in, and we're out.